What we need is trade and opportunity. Right now, we're at a 20% price disadvantage to the tariffs and the trade war to our counterparts in South America, and that just makes us uncompetitive and makes us lose the market. And we need a change, and we need it now.
China imports 61% of the global soybean supply, Caleb. If China doesn't start buying again from the U.S., tell me what's going to happen to you. Tell me what's going to happen to our economy.
We as American soybean farmers have a lot invested in infrastructure and the way we raise our crops, our crop rotations, and it's not something we can simply just jump around and dabble in one crop one year and something else the next. We have long-term processes that are in place, and American soybean farmers are really good at producing soybeans. What we need is strong markets and opportunity. China is our biggest export customer. Soybeans are the largest agriculture product that's exported. Many farmers, such as myself, have no other income other than our farms. And suddenly, when your biggest customer just disappears, that's a dire circumstance. What we need is trade and opportunity. Right now, we're at a 20% price disadvantage to the tariffs and the trade war to our counterparts in South America, and that just makes us uncompetitive and makes us lose the market. And we need a change, and we need it now.
Devastating to hear that the president is putting $20 billion into Argentina. And, we don't see that as putting America first, We see it as, contributing to putting farmers out of business. The president's tariffs have hurt America's farmers. The market prices have plummeted. Farmers are facing foreclosure. Suicides are up. Farm foreclosures are up. All these things are up, and the administration has been so far slow to react. And I just listened to the president and said, well, how about using some of the tariff monies from there? And that's been challenged in court, the president's whole initiative there. And he faced, a couple of decisions that's going to slow that down. That's not a process that we want to go through.
Republicans in farm country are utterly livid at the Trump administration for an, frankly, inscrutable, utterly outrageous bailout that it made to Argentina last week. But why are farmers angry? So here's why. Because of Trump's trade war with China, China has bought 0 soybeans from American farmers this year. China eats about 2/3 of all the soybeans around the world. Last year, China, I think, accounted for about 52% of soybean purchases. So in other words, without China buying soybeans from U.S. farmers, our farmers are utterly screwed. Now, the only other real alternatives for China are, one, to grow them in China, and they're trying to do that long term, but really to purchase them from Brazil and also Argentina. Most of what they get, when they're not getting it from us, comes from Brazil, but Argentina is also a huge producer of soybeans. So last week, the Trump administration announced a $20 billion bailout of Argentina because Trump said he's supporting his friend in the upcoming election, Javier Milei. Javier Milei, you might remember, this is Elon Musk's buddy who did like a Doge-type move on Argentina, and he drove the Argentinian economy into the ground, now needs a massive bailout. So Trump is offering this $20 billion lifeline. The same day that Trump and Bessent announced this lifeline, Reuters reports that Argentina is now shipping massive amounts of soybeans to China and cut its export taxes to 0. In other words, the American money that we're sending to Argentina is making up the gap. So Argentina now doesn't have to charge these export fees on its soybeans, so China gets a huge discount. So China is out there scrambling, trying to find soybeans to feed its population without buying American soybeans because they're in a trade war that we started with them. And Trump just made it much cheaper and easier for China to buy those from Argentina. Now, there's another brutal aspect to this that isn't getting any coverage, and it's that American hedge funds invested heavily in Argentina after Milei was elected because they thought that his libertarian slash everything approach to the economy was actually going to turn things around and make Argentina a good investment. It didn't work at all. The economy collapsed. And so these American hedge funds were about to lose billions and billions of dollars on these stupid investments. But now Bessent, a former hedge fund guy, is the Treasury Secretary now, is coming in, and thanks to the bailout, the hedge funds are actually going to make a profit. And the final piece of this is that this is not the first time that Trump has done this to soybean farmers. The first time he was president, he started a trade war with China, and China responded by not buying soybeans from American farmers. And China instead told Brazil, we want to up our purchases from you. And then they actually started investing and helping Brazil build more highways, and they're putting more than $200 million into this port of Santos to help create capacity so that they can massively expand production of soybeans and exports to China. So they've basically almost doubled production from 2017 to today. Brazil has, and of course, all of these Brazilian soybeans that are being produced now are coming at the expense of the Amazonian rainforest, which was chopped down in order to make room for them. So awesome! Everybody's winning.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own. EC plans to send Argentina $20 billion in economic assistance. And what does Argentina do? They cut their export taxes and sold shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, farmers right here in Arkansas are left behind with falling prices and no market. I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life, until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us. Politicians like Tom Cotton are letting DC put Argentina over places like Arkansas. As a farmer myself, that is something I would not allow. I will fight for trade policies that put Arkansas farmers first, every time. I'm Hallie Schaffner. I'm the 6th-generation Arkansas farmer running to unseat Tom Cotton in the U.S. Senate.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Echo Room Vibes. Big shout out to the original creators and stages who put this clip into the conversation. Without them, we wouldn't be breaking it down today. So I hope you guys are all doing well, and thanks for supporting this channel. So we are talking about soybeans, bailout, and global politics. But really, what it exposes is a fragile intersection of farming, trade, and power. Let's just dive into the rest of the video. I'll be back for more commentary.
Some great news for farmers. Their prayers and protests have finally been seen by the Trump administration, and now they're going to be saved. The ones in Argentina, that is. This week, Trump's Treasury Secretary announced a $20 billion economic support deal for Argentina. And right after that, Argentina suspended its export taxes on soybeans. The result? They sold 20 shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, in the U.S., farmers are harvesting in panic mode with no buyers in sight. China hasn't purchased U.S. soybeans since May. As Caleb Ragland, president of the American Soybean Association, put it, the frustration is overwhelming. I still don't understand what you and all the other Republican farmers are so frustrated about, Caleb. This is what you literally voted for. U.S. soybean prices are falling, and farmers read headlines not about a trade agreement with China, but that the U.S. government is extending $20 billion in economic support to Argentina. Well, unlucky for you, you're going to have to wait till the next Democratic president gets in. Trump is helping farmers, just not the ones in America. So much for America first.
So let me get this straight. We can't afford medications and health care for people in the United States, but we can bail out Argentina for $20 billion fucking dollars. We can pay for everyone in Israel to have fucking health care. Oh, but you can't afford your diabetes medication? You get to die because you're American. What the fuck? I'm supposed to have like 4 surgeries. I don't know when I'm ever going to have those, just so I can have function in my hands and feet again. I haven't been able to work on the computer for more than like 20 minutes in a couple years now. People are dying. This is eugenics. They want people to die. We can obviously afford for people to not die. That's just not the choices certain people want to fucking make. Because these goddamn CEOs make money off of people fucking dying. But seriously, why the fuck did we bail out Argentina? What?
Hey Mainers, President Trump is giving a $20 billion bailout to Argentina. There's at least 3 reasons this is kind of a staggering piece of news, and the third is the toughest to swallow. First, because a $20 billion bailout of another country is the opposite of President Trump's America First philosophy. Second, because President Trump's Treasury Secretary has said openly that the bailout is because Argentina's president, who is an ally of President Trump's, needs a, quote, bridge to the election. His economy is falling apart and his party was just crushed in local elections, so the president's own re-election prospects are in trouble. So President Trump is openly giving Argentina $20 billion of our tax dollars to help his friend win re-election. And somehow that's not even the most startling part of this. The third reason this is staggering is because President Trump's trade war has resulted in China no longer purchasing American soybeans. Literally, China hasn't purchased a single soybean from the U.S. in the last 2 months and has not placed a single order for U.S. soybeans for the coming peak harvest season. Of the $24.5 billion worth of soybeans that the U.S. farmers exported last year, China bought more than half of them, $12.5 billion worth. This is killing U.S. farms, and farmers are feeling panicked and betrayed.
Mr. Trump, he looked at me, sir, and he said, I love you. Mr. Trump, I need to see the fruit of your love.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do.
But guess who is selling soybeans to China? Argentina. The 3 biggest soybean producers in the world are the US, Brazil, and Argentina. And last week, Argentina's President Trump's ally, slashed its export tax on soybeans to 0. He's taking advantage of China shutting out American soybeans and making it easier for Argentinian farmers to sell their soybeans to China while American farmers are getting screwed. It is indisputable. President Trump is propping up a guy who is helping crush American soybean farmers.
Welcome back, guys. So here's the story. MAGA-aligned farmers, many of whom supported Trump, are furious at his recent $20 billion bailout to Argentina. Why? Because the bailout is directly tied to soybeans, and soybeans are the lifeblood of America's farm country. Let's break it down. China consumes about 2/3 of the world's soybeans. Last year alone, it accounted for over 50% of global purchases. Historically, a big chunk of those beans came from the United States. But Trump's trade war with China changed all of that. In retaliation, China stopped buying America's soybeans altogether. Without China, U.S. farmers were left stranded. Now, in comes Argentina, along with Brazil. It's one of the largest soybean exporters outside the U.S. With America and China locked in a trade war, Argentina becomes the go-to supplier. And just last week, Trump's administration announced a $20 billion bailout, not for American farmers, but for Argentina, citing support for President Javier Milei, who's also tied to Elon Musk. On the surface, it looks like a foreign policy move, but in practice, it's devastating for U.S. farmers. Why? Because the bailout allows Argentina to cut export taxes to 0. That means China can buy soybeans from Argentina at a discount, subsidized ironically by U.S. taxpayer dollars. In short, the money intended to help a foreign leader is making it harder for American farmers to compete in the global market. And this isn't a one-off. During Trump's first presidency, his trade war with China already put soybean farmers in crisis. Many were forced to rely on government subsidies just to stay afloat. Some lost their farms altogether. So from their perspective, this feels like deja vu. Only worse, because now American dollars are literally helping a competitor undercut them. Here's where it gets even murkier. U.S. hedge funds had heavily invested in Argentina under Milei, betting on his libertarian experiment to revive the economy. Instead, Argentina collapsed. Without a bailout, those hedge funds were set to lose billions. But thanks to this $20 billion lifeline, they are not just being rescued, they may actually profit. And here's the kicker. The U.S. Treasury Secretary backing the bailout is a former hedge fund executive himself. So when farmers look at this, it doesn't feel like a policy misstep. It feels like a deliberate choice. hedge funds and political allies overseas get protected, while American farmers get left holding the bag. Now, the political irony is thick. Many of these farmers are in Trump's base. They backed him in 2016 and 2020, believing his America First rhetoric. But the reality of trade wars, subsidies, and foreign bailouts has left them worse off. This is why we are seeing such visible anger now. When your livelihood is tied to soybeans, these policies aren't abstract, they are personal. And let's zoom out. This isn't just about soybeans. It's about the global food supply, trade wars, and who controls agricultural dominance. China is playing the long game by diversifying its suppliers. Brazil and Argentina are happy to step in. Meanwhile, U.S. farmers, long accustomed to being the backbone of global soybean trade, are finding themselves pushed out of the markets. That loss of leverage has long-term consequences. What's striking here is how cycles repeat. Political leaders sell policies that sound tough in the short term, like trade wars or nationalist slogans. But those same moves often end up harming the very communities that supported them. And when farmers cry out, it's not just frustration, it's betrayal. Because agriculture isn't partisan, it's survival. This also reminds us how intertwined domestic farming is with international politics. Decisions made in Washington or Buenos Aires ripple all the way down to a farmer in Iowa staring at unsold crops. And when those farmers realize hedge funds and foreign leaders get prioritized over them, the trust gap widens. So here's the takeaway. The $20 billion bailout to Argentina isn't just helping a foreign ally. It's a redistribution of power and resources that leaves American farmers feeling abandoned. It allied the contradictions in America First policies, and it shows how quickly global alliances can make or break local economies. The bigger question is, how long will communities keep accepting cycles that harm their livelihoods? And will this frustration finally lead to political realignment, or will it be another case where outrage dies down, but nothing changes for the people on the ground? That's my breakdown, guys. Huge thanks again to the originators and stitches who brought this clip into focus. What do you think? Should taxpayer dollars ever be used to bail out foreign industries while local farmers suffer? Or is this just the cost of global politics? Drop your thought below, and as always, take care of yourself and stay in the vibe. Thanks for watching from Echo Room Vibes. Peace out.